Middle Kingdom, 12th Dynasty c. 2055–1786 BC. After the closing ruler of the 11th dynasty, Mentuhotep IV, was once assassinated, the throne acceded to his vizier, who have become King Amenemhat I, founder of Dynasty 12. A brand new capital was once set up at Itoi, south of Memphis, whilst Thebes remained an extremely good spiritual middle. In the course of the Middle Nation, Egypt once again flourished because it had at some stage in the old state. The 12th dynasty kings ensured the smooth succession in their line via making every successor co-regent, a custom that started with Amenemhat I. Middle Kingdom Egypt pursued a competitive foreign coverage, colonizing Nubia with its rich supply of gold, ebony, ivory and other sources, and repelling the Bedouins who had infiltrated Egypt all through the primary intermediate period. The kingdom additionally constructed diplomatic and exchange family members with Syria, Palestine, and different countries, undertook constructing initiatives including navy fortresses and mining quarries, and again to pyramid constructing in the subculture of the antique kingdom. The Middle State reached its stop underneath Amenemhat III, 1840–1797 BC. Its decline started out beneath Amenemhat IV, 1798–1790 BC, and endured below his sister and regent, Queen Sobekneferu, 1789–1786 BC, who was once the first confirmed women ruler of Egypt and the final ruler of the 12th dynasty. Second Intermediate Duration c. 1786–1567 BC. The 13th dynasty marked the beginning of another unsettled length in Egyptian history, at some stage in which a fast succession of kings failed to consolidate strength. Therefore, throughout the second intermediate period, Egypt used to be divided into several spheres of affect. The reliable royal courtroom and Sayat of presidency was once relocated to Thebes, even as a rival dynasty, the 14th, focused at the city of Zois in the Nile Delta, seems to have existed on the equal time as the 13th. Around 1650 BC, a line of overseas rulers known as the Hyksos took benefit of Egypt's instability to take manage. The Hyksos rulers of the 15th dynasty adopted and endured a number of the present Egyptian traditions in authorities as well as culture. They ruled simultaneously with the road of native Theban rulers of the 17th dynasty, who retained control over most of southern Egypt in spite of having to pay taxes to the Hyksos. The 16th dynasty is variously believed to be Theban or Hyksos rulers. Battle subsequently flared among the two corporations, and the Thebans launched a fighting against the Hyksos around 1570 BC, riding them out of Egypt. New Kingdom c. 1567–N85 BC. Below Ahmose I, the primary king of the 18th dynasty, Egypt used to be yet again reunited. At some stage in the 18th dynasty, Egypt restored its manipulate over Nubia and started army campaigns in Palestine, clashing with other powers inside the place such as the Mitannians and the Hittites. The USA went on to establish the sector's first super empire, stretching from Nubia to the Euphrates River in Asia, further to powerful kings consisting of Amenhotep I, 1546–1526 BC, Thutmose I, 1525–1512 BC, and Amenhotep III, 1417–1379 BC. The brand new nation was gorgeous for the position of royal ladies along with Queen Hatshepsut, 1503–1482 BC, who commenced ruling as a regent for her young stepson. He later have become Thutmose III, Egypt's greatest army hero, but rose to wield all the powers of a pharaoh. The controversial Amenhotep IV (1379–1362) of the past 18th dynasty undertook a non-secular revolution, disbanding the priesthoods devoted to Amun-Re, a combination of the local Theban god Amun and the solar god Re, and forcing the one-of-a-kind worship of another sun god, Aton. Renaming himself Akhenaton, servant of the Aton, he built a new capital in Center Egypt referred to as Akhenaton, known later as Amona. Upon Akhenaton's loss of life, the capital returned to Thebes, and Egyptians lower back to worshipping a mess of gods. The 19th and 20th dynasties, known as the Ramesside length, for the road of kings named Ramses, noticed the recuperation of the weakened Egyptian empire and an impressive quantity of building, together with remarkable temples and cities. In step with biblical chronology, the exodus of Moses and the Israelites from Egypt probably befell throughout the reign of Ramesses II, 1304–1237 BC. All the new nation rulers, except for Akhenaton, were laid to rest in deep, rock-cut tombs, not pyramids, within the Valley of the Kings, a burial site at the west bank of the Nile contrary Thebes. Maximum of them had been raided and destroyed, excluding the tomb and treasure of Tutankhamun, c. 1361–1352 BC, observed largely intact in AD 1922. The extraordinary mortuary temple of the closing awesome king of the 20th dynasty, Ramses III c. 1187–1156 BC, used to be additionally extraordinarily nicely preserved, and indicated the prosperity Egypt still enjoyed throughout his reign. The kings who observed Ramses III had been much less a success. Egypt misplaced its provinces in Palestine and Syria for correct, and suffered from foreign invasions, extensively by the Libyans, whilst its wealth used to be being progressively however unavoidably depleted. Third Intermediate Period c. 1085–664 BC. The following 400 years, referred to as the Third Intermediate Duration, saw important modifications in Egyptian politics, society and way of life. Centralized government beneath the 21st dynasty pharaohs gave thanks to the resurgence of nearby officers, whilst foreigners from Libya and Nubia grabbed electricity for themselves and left a long-lasting imprint on Egypt's population. The 22nd dynasty began around 945 BC with King Sheshonq, a descendant of Libyans who had invaded Egypt for the duration of the past 20th dynasty and settled there. Many nearby rulers have been virtually self-sufficient at some point of this period, and dynasties 23–24 are poorly documented. In the 8th century BC, Nubian pharaohs starting with Shabako, ruler of the Nubian nation of Kush, hooked up their own dynasty, the 25th at Thebes, beneath Kushite rule. Egypt clashed with the developing Assyrian Empire. In 671 BC, the Assyrian ruler Esarhaddon drove the Kushite king Taharqa out of Memphis and destroyed the town. He then appointed his personal rulers out of nearby governors and officers, and swerving to the Assyrians. Certainly one of them, Necho of Sais, dominated briefly because the first king of the 26th dynasty before being killed through the Kushite leader Tanuatamun in a final, unsuccessful takehold for power. From the late period to Alexander's conquest 664–332 BC, starting with Necho's son, Psammetichus. The Saite dynasty dominated a reunified Egypt for less than 2 centuries. In 525 BC, Cambyses, king of Persia, defeated Psammetichus III, the ultimate Saite king, on the conflict of Pelusium, and Egypt have become part of the Persian Empire. Persian rulers consisting of Darius, 522–485 BC, ruled the USA in large part under the same phrases as local Egyptian kings. Darius supported Egypt's spiritual cults and undertook the building and restoration of its temples. The tyrannical rule of Xerxes, 486–465 BC, sparked increased uprisings below him and his successors. Such a rebellions triumphed in 404 BC, beginning one closing length of Egyptian independence beneath native rulers. Dynasties 28–30. Inside the mid-4th century BC, the Persians once more attacked Egypt, reviving their empire underneath Hatshepsut III in 343 BC. Barely a decade later, in 332 BC, Alexander the Notable of Macedonia defeated the armies of the Persian Empire and conquered Egypt. After Alexander's demise, Egypt was once ruled by using a line of Macedonian kings, starting with Alexander's well-known Ptolemy and persevering along with his descendants. The remaining ruler of Ptolemaic Egypt, the legendary Cleopatra VII, surrendered Egypt to the armies of Octavian, later Augustus, in 2031 BC. 6 centuries of Roman rule followed, for the duration of which Christianity have become the legit religion of Rome and the Roman Empire's provinces, along with Egypt. The conquest of Egypt by the Arabs in the 7th century AD and the introduction of Islam might eliminate the remaining outward elements of historic Egyptian lifestyle and propel the country towards its modern incarnation.